Hello. Hello and welcome, Space Engineers on the Xbox, on the Series X, and you might recognize this is my survival guide save. Going back to this one after a while. Left it with the drill, and that was pretty much it. The next steps on this were to look at building something off this little gantry, which is already set up. And as you know, I like to build off rotors because rotors transfer power to the grid that they're connected to. And I have a stable power grid on this here. And what I want to do is I want to look at some extension to this particular section here, to the assembler. I want to put the cargo box and extend the bases footprint somewhat. I think it's about time I built out this base a bit more. Turn this off because I was doing a tutorial at one point. So I want my armor blocks to start looking at extending this, and then get myself some metal plates and start welding it up. You can leave it bare, but 52. If you leave it bare, it will cause lag eventually, because basically it's rendering everything through these blocks. So if you have like a tower with open gantries, it's going to have to render everything it can see through those blocks. Right there. In that one. Ice in that one. So could get rid of this cargo container from here and put it over here. Here's my lights though. And because we've got higher tier materials, as I am running one of the mods, if you remember, the synthetic materials mod. I was able to get the higher tier tools. As you can see, you can go through plates quite quickly. So we need to put some plates into production, or we can pull them actually out of the inventory. There's steel plates in the assembler. This is one of the other reasons that I want to play around with. Oh, there we go. Perfect. The assembler, I want to put cargo storage on the outside of this box, and if I've unlocked it, if I remember correctly, I want to put a sorter here and show you how to set all that up. It's been a while since I've played this particular save, so bear with me. thing. Making sure none of my centers of mass and things are checked. Right. Enough room. So we want to look at accessing this assembler with the sorter. To make a sorter. We need interior plates to build it. So we can pick up some interior plate from here. For now, we can add it to the build planner once we know exactly where it's going to be. See where the control panel for the sorter is, just there. This here for now. Put all this stuff back into the box over here. Thinking about it. About the welder. You notice that the build planner is empty. So we can left trigger this and hold down the right bumper and both squares a couple of times, and we should have everything we need to build a conveyor sorter like that. We want to move this. Make sure it's empty. My inventory should have enough. These little tubes out of the way. We'll disassemble this into the inventory. We'll rebuild it over here. Ta-da. And what we'll do here is we'll add this the build planner. And we'll link that up. Save. And now we've got the cargo box there. And what we want to do is we want to set up this conveyor sorter. So click on its control panel and let's have a look. Right, we want to look at changing the filter list to whitelist, and then we'll have a look what we want to put into this box. Well, what do we want to go into this box? Anything that's made from production. So ammo, components, hold down the right bumper, hand tools. We want to ignore ingots and ore and add those to the whitelist. And so we go to our production now. And let's say we want to make some more steel plates, a couple of hundred steel plates. Remember, I'm also running modules on this as well. And now, when I hit on the sorter, drain all, it should pull things across. There you go. All the components that are sitting in the assembler. Also in this small cargo container. Now get pulled to this cargo box over here. Remember that you can add and remove things from your whitelist as you want. So now, if I wanted to say create a specific block, I can go for large blocks, small blocks, components, tools, build planner, consumables. There's your tools, look. Components, small blocks, large blocks. So if I wanted small blocks, say I wanted a buggy cockpit, I could put that from here and queue it into the assembler. And then it would create all of those components, and you'll see they'll disappear from the assembler and they'll be shuffled across and shuttled across into the cargo container here. So we can start looking at building out vehicle design that's going to act as our little prospector. And what we want for that is, hopefully we've got enough, I'd like to build some atmospheric thrusters on it. I'd like to build it based around a large atmo thruster, at least to give it lift. And then it probably only needs one or two small atmo thrusters, front back, and then only one atmo thruster to do left right. And you wouldn't even need to worry about atmo thrusters for down. So come back to here onto production. Look again on the small blocks, and you can go down and see what you've got access to. All kinds of blocks, letters, everything that you can build so far. There's your hydrogen thrusters. Fair irons, timer blocks, wheels, things there. And if you can't find something, you can always search for it using the search bar. We need nickel ingots. It'll build all that as necessary and throw it into this box. So let's have a look at this. Let's just pull some metal plates, steel plates out for now. Here's one I prepared earlier, my building gantry. So I'm looking at building off to the side here. Now, if I'm using a buggy cockpit, I happen to know that buggy cockpits are 2 blocks wide. But I'm also thinking, wait a second, what about power? Well, these batteries are the small block batteries. Are 3 blocks, if you look. So maybe we're going to have an idea here, thinking about it, that maybe I want to build that big thruster in the center and have like a battery either side of it. So let's see. I wanted the sci-fi atmo, make life harder for myself. And we want to change. Yep, we are on small grid. You can see the grid size if you hold down the left bumper, press X. You can swap between small and large grid. So we want the large sci-fi atmo thruster added to the build planner. Then this will give me an idea of what I can play with in terms of size. So we've got that thruster. And now thinking about batteries. Something like that. 2 batteries, one either side. Don't know how long that will give us for flight, but this is a prospecting vehicle, so it doesn't have to go for ages. We also need to think about how we're going to plug it in, how we're going to recharge this. A connector is the most sensible option to recharge it. So what we want to do here is we want, yeah, why not? A couple of batteries. See if I've got the components in. No, okay, well, let's throw all that back in there. And we'll put a couple of batteries into production, thinking about it. That. Put those 2 like that. Hold down the left bumper, tap the 2 squares, and it will put everything into production for you. Watch it whip away. Every time it builds components, it will take those components out of the assembler and stick them in this box. Because we're playing on survival, we're dealing with a player inventory that's limited. While we're at it, we'll run over to our idle kit, and we'll just get some power back while we're here. Clear the build planner again, and we'll just put 1 battery on this time. We'll withdraw all components, and it should make us a battery in one. Pretty much like the warfare batteries. I'm tempted to put it about there. And then another one on the opposite side. And again, look if I've actually got the all components to build this as is. See how much we need. I have no idea what this is going to look like or be, but we've got enough to build both batteries. And so I'm tempted just to slap a connector onto the back of this warfare battery and have that as the plug-in point, because I can always build some landing gear off this. What it's going to need to take, it's going to need to take a small ore detector and a gyroscope, just one. And so we're going to head back here, and just for now, I'll put everything back into this box. Build planner's clear. So let's think. A connector, I think, next. We've got enough room to... And we want our connector. And we don't need to worry about it being piped up anywhere. We just need to think, where's it going to go? How's it fitting onto this? If I take it higher like this, or lower like that, I think lower like that is going to be where I want it. And that's just going to plug into a charging station more than anything. I want some way of controlling this. So I'm thinking, I've got a couple of choices. I've got the classic control seat, which could be placed on some blocks just here like this. So we don't have to worry about life support on this planet. The buggy seat is offset, as you can see. Same as that. Or I could go more interesting and I could look at maybe the industrial cockpit, which would give me a bit more comfort. And I'm tempted with the industrial cockpit because I really do like its design. So add that to the build planner. If we've got all the materials. No, we need 60 bulletproof glass. So considering I'm going to probably make another cockpit at some point for another vehicle, possibly a cargo vehicle, I'm tempted just to put this lot into production and then pull out what I need. So take a look at your industrial cockpit as well while you're here. Make sure your chair's facing correctly. You can tell, looking through the window, you can see the control panel in front, but also you can also tell, see this thing at the top, the railing should be pointing up like that. Yeah, kind of like that. Hold that up. Getting there. Very pretty, but it doesn't have to do much apart from help us find what we're looking for. So the next thing we need is a way of turning this. So a gyroscope. We add one of those to the build planner. See if we can withdraw the components. Yep. If you're not using a jetpack as well, you could also build a little gantry to stand around and maneuver yourself. Gyroscope there. Hold it up. And so far, so good. It's going to need some thrusters. And I think 2 thrusters, one either side, front and back. Definitely on this. So one either side, front and back. Should still have them there. And this time we'll go for the small ones. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm pretty sure I don't have the components in stock for this, so we'll put all of that into production with the left bumper and the 2 squares. Your inventory button, if you want to call it that. I've got 2 assemblers as well. Running in co-op, and if you watch this series, you'll see how I did that. But to briefly go over it again, pick your second assembler, and you'll see that you can enable or disable cooperative mode. And that's exactly what I've got there running. When it looks like that icon there, that's co-op mode. Now, I don't know if I can pick up all of these thruster components in one, but I think I can, and make sure. Yep. And so let's look at a bit more motive force, shall we? Or lower, right, the side of the cockpit. Well, I put them there on this one there. Can't build with symmetry mode at all on this particular mode on survival. Hold that up. Unless you activate creative mode tools, in which case you may as well just really be playing creative mode at that point. I use it a lot when I'm doing tutorials to save time, but since this is a DeWolfie One Plays, I'm actually playing it properly. And this may be the first time beyond the original live stream a couple of years ago where you've actually seen me build something from scratch in survival. We're getting there. Do another quick save. because I don't have autosave active. So we have front and back thrusters, a connector, 2 batteries, cockpit, large thruster here. We want a way to move this thing left and right. Now another 4 thrusters would work. Do we need them? Possibly. We're going to also need to put a ore detector on this thing, and then work out some landing gear assembly. I'm tempted with just bringing some blocks to add structure. Maybe bring a landing gear off on the side. But first of all, we need our stabilizing thrusters, and I think I'm just going to do 4 again. Save messing about. Wait for this to produce what we need. Where to put it? I might need to put some blocks in. Or I could just go for the 1 thruster one way, 1 thruster the other. Let me have a think on this one. Well, I think I'm going to recharge my hydrogen. I'm down to 2 bottles of it at the moment, but that's all right. So let's see, I've got some metal plating. About a little bit more metal plating while I'm here. Let's transfer about 100. That way I can use that to drop some blocks on. To drop a light armor block there and a row of light armor blocks along here for now. Just weld those up. And you'll see that the small ones take very little to do. And this also gives me a chance to think where I'm going to put my thrusters properly. As I build out, I'm tempted to maybe make another 2 blocks. One there. One there. Then build that out further. That should allow me to slot that thruster in here. Again, when you're building in survival, it's a lot trickier to see what you want to do. Like if you're building creative, as you know, it's like, oh yeah, I'm done. I can concept this pretty easily. All falls into place. And that works quite well. I should have enough materials on me to weld up that thruster and its friend, and also these two anchor blocks there. And again, I'm tempted to mimic a similar design on here. Make sure you don't grind your battery down. Quick save again. One thing I do like to do. And I think I might have the perfect place to put an ore detector. Actually, no, I'll put the ore detector underneath, because the ore detector, closer it is to the ground, the better. Let's see. I want this. I think burn it. That I can put the blocks in along here, just to give it some integrity. For now, I can always build on the cosmetics of this over time. So we've got lift, forward, back, left, right. No downward thrust, because we'll use the gravity of the planet itself. And let's have a look what we need now. An ore detector on. In there, slowly but surely. These Dwarfy 1 plays on this survival guide tend to go a little longer than normal. I've got enough. Front or back. Let's. There. And there we've got the basis of a prospecting ship we can add to. At it. I can build some landing gear on this, probably quite simply. go to Ship Essentials and look at the landing gear, you can see that this particular landing gear will fit here. I could literally just put a block down and drop landing gear onto it to make it simple. 4 landing gear, 4 blocks. Should work. A quick look. Yeah, should work. And so what we want is just to replicate that. On here, like this. I've got that slightly wrong way round. If you tap your left trigger as well, you'll bring up your grinder when things like that happen. Let's get these blocks in. Now, then we can look at what we need for the landing gear. The build planner. Check the build planner, nothing on it. So with the welder selected, take a look at your landing gear. Left trigger once, and again, and again, and again. And that'll add 4 landing gear. And we'll put these components into production as well while we're at it. Out what we need for our landing gear. For now, as well, we don't need to worry about lights. We can look at that later on when we decide. Not exactly the best looking thing in the world, but it will do the job that I want it to do. Plus I can add some structural integrity, pulling some blocks along here just to make sure that's more secure. I could even link those across like that, start to make it look cosmetically nice. You might want to add an antenna to it. That's another block we could add. Not only will you find it if you lose where it is, but you could then put a remote control on it and manipulate it. That way. Down to 1 hydrogen bottle. Go. And 1 antenna. Now we have all the thrusters, everything, and it's all set with its ore detector, landing gear. So what we want to do is we want to hop into this cockpit for now, and we want to look at a few things. First of all, we want to bring up the control panel, and straight away we want to take these 4 landing gear, hold down the right bumper, tapping A, and turn auto lock off and turn used for parking off, because we don't want to be messing with the Y button. I prefer to put all my controls onto the D-pad as much as possible. So we're just going to call this Prospector Gear. Save the group. And then again, what we want to do is think about it while we're here again. Got our ore detector. We only need to go to our thrusters, and we can see them here. And we're connected to our grid at the moment, recharging any batteries. So we'll call this Prospector. Thrust. Turn that off. We've got those two things. We're going to throw the landing gear onto here, and you do that by holding down the D-pad, tapping the right bumper, choosing groups and picking your group, and then we're going to put the thrusters the same. So hold down the D-pad the direction you want, then tap the right bumper till you're on groups, and you have toggle block on off. Then also we want our ore detector, so push right on the D-pad, and this time go to all blocks, and you're looking for the ore detector block. It is toggle block on off. Finally, we want to go back to here, make sure everything's all right, jump out of that, quick save, and the moment of truth in this entire thing is cutting this thing free from its mooring. We have liftoff, or hover in this case. Now this is no longer being charged, but we can see it into third person. And we're using the gravity of the planet to lower it down. And you'll see when we get to the ground, we can now lock our landing gear, lock the landing gear, turn off the thrusters, and turn off the ore detector for now. And while we're down on the ground, I want to do one more thing. Now we've got access to the grid without messing about. We look at the batteries, put these two batteries into a group. And batteries, save it off, push left on the D-pad, go to groups, choose batteries, and you'll see different settings, recharge, on, off. Don't trigger that yet, but now you'll be able to toggle the recharge state when you're plugged into a charging station, which we'll build next time. But that is our little prospecting vehicle. Save that again. And just before we do anything else, we'll jump into this. You'll see it's called Small Grid 6627. We want to change this to the name of the ship. Okay, Prospector 1. Now, the reason we do that is if you're ever playing on a dedicated server on somebody else's server and they're doing a particular thing, if they see unnamed grids like that, they will delete them 9 times out of 10. So you will find if you don't name your grids properly, people will remove them. And sometimes the game does that automatically. So, next thing, one thing you can do while we're at it, we'll just pop this thing up in the air, leave the cockpit. Now, you won't be able to mess around with the blueprinting in the case of cutting and pasting, because those will be disabled in survival unless you have creative mode tools on, but you can actually make a proper blueprint of it. So my advice, make a blueprint of your built ship like so, and you can even set up a nice screenshot of it. Maybe move it further away from the base. Like that. Just get a screenshot for it, basically. Remove the HUD by holding down left bumper, tapping right, and then going back into the blueprint menu by holding down RB and B. Go to Prospector 1. I just realised I've spelled Prospector wrong, but don't worry about that. But you can take a screenshot of it just by clicking the screenshot button. That back. And back into here. And now, of course, it's going to drive me mad. And I call myself a writer. Anyway, there you go. I've changed it now. So what you can do again, if you don't like that blueprint, make sure you're on the correct blueprint there, and you can delete it. Create the blueprint again. There you go. Prospector 1. And that's our prospecting little ship. And what the other thing we want to do, actually, thinking about it, is go to the ore detector and the antenna. And we want to boost the antenna's broadcast range and go to the ore detector, and we'll boost the ore detector's range to 50 meters. And there's probably some little ore spots we can take a look for. Bear in mind, constant flight on something like this without full charge, you're going to look at 20 minutes, maybe. But it's going to give you a better run than, say, using your jetpack. Looks as though that's something there. I think it's just the ore detector on. There you go, silicon. I forgot to turn the ore detector on. Always remember to turn your ore detector on. Yeah, some silicon there, look. You'll see the parched areas of the game. Some more silicon, look. Don't want to go too fast. Magnesium. Silicon. You want to look at these areas like this. These parched areas. I'll give you a good indicator that there's all there. Yeah. I'm running close to almost an hour on this. So take this little Spectre back. Not quite sure any more. Oh. Where my base is, but we'll look at creating a charging station for this in the next episode. I like to build them off their own power grid, so they're not doing anything with the base power. Make a little dedicated landing pad for it and everything. That's done a nice job. Like that. That. And turn. Get some lights on it as well. I may do that off camera. But yeah, there you go. That is the little prospecting ship. And how to create a sorter to put all your assemblers, components and things into one cargo container. Hopefully it's been some help. As I said, it's the DWolfie1 plays using my survival guide save from the New Player Survival series. So look for it probably underneath the New Player Survival guide as well. Until the next time, stay safe, take care, have fun, enjoy the game. There is a lot more coming, and we are getting closer and closer as Keen beaver away at creating Grid AI. I am excited. I have a feeling it's going to change the game in big ways. Until then, though, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.